Well, with me right now from the United Board is Don Tibbetts and Steve Leonard. Good to have you gentlemen on today. It's fantastic because lots to talk about. Got some maintenance things, little compliance things, of course, budget and solar, right?
Yes,
A
yes.
plethora of topics.
Good to be here.
Yes, nice to have you both here today.
Thank you, Ken.
So as far as the ongoing maintenance is, Don, you have talked about this. I know Steve, you've had in the past. It's a balancing act of fixing things that maybe over the years needed a lot of repair and kind of let go, and now you're kind of doing a catch-up. And then also some of the natural improvements that you're making as well. And this involves anything from the plumbing issues, the electrical issues with the boxes, and in a way, the solar issue kind of falls into that as well.
Yes, we have a lot going on. I don't know if our residents realize, but we have over 16, 17 major projects that are ongoing.
Right.
The roofing, paving of our cul-de-sacs, and then the regular maintenance things that are done weekly or bi-weekly, and it's a huge, huge program. And I could bring you up to date on some of the smaller items. People were asking me about it. Remember that Push-O-Matic program I mentioned about?
Yeah,
Okay,
electrical boxes, yeah.
Electrical boxes, that's a 10-year project. We just started it. We're replacing 2 a day, but we will be finished in 10 years. Other programs are outside lighting. We check that all the time. Steve is kind of in charge of that one. I've got so many. We've got the solar panel we've talked about the last time. We are, if I'm correct, Steve's in charge of that one too. We are finally online, 100%. We were down a little bit because the Southern California Edison put in the wrong size wiring.
Right.
And that's been taken care of now. We're 100%. And also our warranty will start July 1st. They gave us 3 months on that.
Oh, great.
So that's going to help out.
And another one of the ongoing projects, I know Steve, you're involved with this, is parking in the cul-de-sacs and all. And I can recall, I don't know if it was last meeting or the meeting before, I think it was the meeting before because it was still over at the city, talking about how you have to look at, well, some areas seem to be perfectly fine, some don't, some you go through, and you really have to drive through in the late evenings or almost early mornings to really see what the impact is of parking in different areas, am I right?
In addition to the time of day, you have to take into account season.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, sure.
We had a resolution up to change the number of the decals. There was some resistance to that because people thought that it was not sufficient, although we did have a variance process involved there so that people who had a need and could demonstrate a need for a second car, for example, in a one-bedroom, would be able to get a decal. That it passed originally through the board, and it went out for 30-day review, and then it was actually 2 months, and then it came back, and the board didn't approve it.
Okay.
Then the board set up a parking committee, which I believe Cash Hakrikar is the chair of that committee, and Maxine, and I believe Andre is on that committee as well. Is it? Yeah.
I think Andre's on it.
And they've been out. They've been going out for the last couple of months and doing some inspections on site in some of the cul-de-sacs, and they're starting to collect some data. And they have some preliminary findings, but I try to caution them that it is summer. The snowbirds are not here, and people are on vacation. So I try to caution them not to set up anything too strict now because it will change December and January. And as a matter of fact, we just got a letter that was just in our box today from a gentleman in one cul-de-sac that says, we really have a parking problem in our cul-de-sac and we need help. So, you know, it's a moving target.
It is,
And
yeah.
I think no matter what we come up with, some people are not going to be happy about
Yeah,
it. But
exactly.
that goes to laundries when we raise the price to $1. There are some people who are, you know, really not happy about that. But
Right. And this in kind of dovetails into compliance issues as well, right?
Right. So there are a number of things happening through security for both the mutuals on compliance. And the number of compliance cases has gone up dramatically in the last year because there's been more reporting and enforcement on it. And one of the things that is going to be important coming up is the use of unattended extension cords in the
Right.
carports. It's part of the Unified Building Code that you cannot use extension cords in place of permanent wiring. If you're on a construction site and you're using an extension cord with your equipment, good.
Right.
If it's unattended, it's against the code. This is a particular issue for people with golf carts.
It is, yes.
So that's something that the security is going to be going out and giving warning notices about coming up now to give people time. The other issue is the chargers themselves for those vehicles are not supposed to be on the ground because
Okay.
if they get wet, or
Right,
there's,
exactly.
there's an electrocution standard hazard. So they should be up like 12 inches off the ground on a cinder block. So again, that's one of many things in compliance that security will now be patrolling and dealing with. Same thing with electric vehicle charging. If you don't have
Yeah.
a sticker and you get caught charging, I think it's going to be a $240 fine the first time and $480 the second time. So if you have an electric vehicle, get a decal and pay.
Yeah, exactly. When it comes to the golf carts, they need to work with permitting and get themselves an actual dedicated box out there to plug into.
Well,
Is that what you're...
no. The golf carts themselves come with a battery charger.
Right, right.
And they plug in just to the regular outlets in the carports.
Right, exactly.
So there's nothing special. They do
So
have
where does the extension cord come in if they're not in their space? Is that it?
Well, if you think about a carport space, you pull in
Right.
with your car, and then your golf cart's behind it.
That's right. Some
So
people can put
now
that
the
in, yeah.
cord for the charger itself won't reach
Right.
to the nose, so people use an extension cord. Really what they need to do is they need to pull their car out of the carport and put the golf cart in the front of the space and
Right.
take that charger and plug it directly into the outlet.
Okay, and of course they probably don't do that because of the convenience of...
Yes.
Yeah.
However, with the tripping hazard and electrocution and not being in compliance with the code,
Right.
it's fine. They
And the Orange County Fire Authority would be the first to tell you
Correct.
You don't do that. And you know, one of the problems with that is what kind of extension cord they're using in the first place.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's true in your home, so keep that
Correct.
in mind.
If you use the wrong gauge for the application, you
Right,
risk.
doesn't have a circuit breaker built into it.
Right.
There can be all kinds of problems.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, coming up, actually not even coming up, it's pretty much here, budget season, which really started for you guys a couple months ago.
Right.
And obviously when you do this, you want to look ahead. We're looking at 2018 and even in many cases beyond, because sometimes you look at a 30-year plan in some form. Obviously when you get out that far, it's going to change over the years, but in general, you still kind of look at 10, 20, 30 years out, and then of course the immediate 2018, right?
Yeah, we budget for reserves. That's a 30-year program. And as you say, budget time is here. And we want input from residents. We want to hear what they are asking for. We want to hear their concerns. And they are invited to all of these meetings. I think we have our first one next Friday for United.
Yeah.
And they're more than welcome.
Yeah, definitely, and we always announce those meetings, so
Yes.
I encourage people, this is the time to go. You're invited to these meetings. I mean, it does get to the point in times when you're talking about contracts and things that'll become closed, but for the most part, these are open meetings, and
Yes.
for the chance for the members to voice their opinion. You want to hear from them, right?
And even if the members can't make a meeting because of other obligations or whatever the case is, we encourage them to write
Yeah.
to the board of directors and express their concerns. Because if we don't hear from you, we can't address your concerns. And if they work during the day or they have an infirmity or something, or other obligations, please write
Yeah.
and send it into the board so that we get it to the concerns.
Yeah,
I think one of the
exactly.
important things in the budget process that's coming up is that now that Ernesto Munoz is in charge of most of the general services, he's fallen into that job and he's found out that we have a lot more work to do than we have.
Isn't that always the
problems.
case,
Yes.
right?
Well, so he's putting forth his own budget through VMS about how many people he needs for what applications.
Right.
One of the things we get complaints about regularly is the condition of the sidewalks, cracks and things like that. And so we're Ernesto's specifically looking at ways, how do we remediate those problems much more quickly? So that will require more people, whether they're in-house or outside contractors, which
Right.
means more money. So staff is coming forward and saying, if we really want to fix things more quickly, we need more people, we'll
Yeah.
need more money.
Yeah, need more money for sure.
Right, so-
And along with what Steve is saying, since we have an aging community, for example, our water lines,
Right.
especially the sewer lines, exterior lines, they are cracking, and we are relining them. We have a $1.5 million yearly budget just for that one item, and we're finding other areas that weren't quite up to code when they were put in there.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And we have a tremendous dry rot problem, and we're trying to get on top of all of that.
Yeah, and it takes time and it takes money. right?
Yes.
Interestingly, on the waistlines from the manors, we have an epoxy system that we
Right.
can utilize on that. Although with 6,323 manors,
Yeah.
we have a lot of waistlines. How do you
Yes.
identify the problems in all of them? So one of the things that we as a board have directed staff to do going forward is anytime there is an alteration request that comes in for a manor
Okay.
after it sells and someone wants to install a washer and dryer or split the one bathroom into two, basically adding additional
Right.
fixtures into the system, that getting a camera video of the waistline will be required
Okay.
before permits will be allowed to be issued.
Okay. Now, just let me interrupt you there. Would it be the resident that has to pay for that, or is that's
No.
just kind of standard operating procedure, right?
What it allows us to do, because it is a mutual responsibility,
Okay.
it allows us to know that there is a problem prior to the work being
Okay.
done in the manor, so that we can elevate that particular unit to the front
Great.
of the line and get it
That'll
done.
help everyone out.
Right. So that's one of the procedures that we've recommended that staff agreed that we should do. So we're working really hard to try to mediate a lot of these things.
Yeah, and along with that, Steve, Ken, it's also created a problem. It's a new requirement that we've added. And of course, we have younger people moving in, and they like to go into alterations. And so we're having a greater need in there, and we're talking about maybe increasing staff to stay on top of all of it.
Yeah, very good. Well, we're just about out of time here, gentlemen. I want to thank you for coming on. And
Sorry, one
sorry,
item.
one thing, okay.
I promised our president, Juanita, I mentioned it. Today, the residents in United will be getting a ballot
okay,
to bring update our bylaws.
that's right.
And it's
Yes.
so important that they return that. We have to get it in. Some of the changes are going to be minor. It's kind of updating
Exactly,
everything in the
yeah.
past 50 years. So please, residents, when you get that, read it and sign it. We are recommending a yes vote,
Yes.
and we need your help.
All right, very good. So you'll be getting those, and make sure you mark those ballots. And again, as you said, and as Juanita said, it's more about updating to
Yes.
what the standards are today.
That's all
pretty
it
much
is.
what it is.
Please
Good to see
approve
you.
the ballot.
Thank you very
Yes.
much, gentlemen.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. And we'll be right back.
Thank you.